So last Saturday, UFC 251, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. The fight we've all been waiting for, the fight I know she's been waiting for, and there was a lot of really good takedowns, and I wanted to go through them. There's going to be 4 positions today that Usman just crushed, and I had to show you. So the first position, we had Masvidal in an orthodox or a southpaw position, or a stance. Usman was in an orthodox position, or stance. And what happened is Masvidal, really good kicks. He came in with an inside leg kick, and Usman went to go catch it, but he missed it. So they kept on exchanging, kept moving, and then Masvidal came back with another inside leg kick. Usman catched it, or he caught it here. And what he did was, after he caught this kick, he came in with his right hand, grabbed the leg, and then he doubled off with the hand that he originally had on the kick. Boom, boom, and he came in on the double leg. Now, I kind of want to break down where this comes from. So traditionally, if we were striking in, let's say, Muay Thai, and someone went to kick, usually you would catch this kick, because usually you only catch kicks in MMA like that towards the legs, because you can wrestle. It's not very often someone's going to come down and reach for a leg in Muay Thai, because they can't do anything with it. So they're always going to catch it a little bit higher. So where this comes from is usually they kick to the arm or the body. Boom. And they would catch here, and usually you would sweep it out. You'd catch it, you'd come through, woo, and you'd sweep. Or they would go with the kick, you'd catch it, and you'd swim it out this way, get them unbalanced, and go for a head kick. So that's where that comes from. So we'll do that one more time. He goes to catch it, he switches off, and doubles. The second position that I wanted to go over, more of kind of like a technical adjustment rather than a form of appreciation of that first one. So Masvidal was in a front headlock position where Usman was on top of him and he was on bottom. But what happened is Usman got Masvidal more so in a chest wrap, not more of a tight headlock, which creates openings, and rather than exerting ourselves, we can make a quick adjustment. And so I'll show you what happened, where he went wrong, and probably where he could have made an adjustment to conserve energy. So Usman gets on top, and he has this chest wrap position. Now, this is a really big opening, and he didn't make any quick movements here. He kind of stuck around for a little bit, and eventually what Usman did is he tightened this up by not going from a chest wrap here, but to a front headlock. This is so much tighter. You know, you control the head, you control the body. And now when he came here, he did get out, but he kind of stood up, and he pulled away, and that takes away a lot of energy. So let's go back down there. Usman was on bottom, or Masvidal was on bottom, and Usman has the chest wrap here. There's a big opening right here. So rather than standing up and pulling away, or giving him enough time to get that headlock, that front headlock, all we need to do is we need to step up with this leg. We move up, and you're gonna swim your left arm over. This is gonna be called a peek out. So we're here, and I'm gonna sit to my right butt cheek as I swim through. And usually a good scrambler, I'm not gonna be able to get a hold of a guy, or he won't be able to get a hold of a guy like Usman. But if you can, you'd swim around and come to the back. Usually he'll scramble out and nothing happens, but he got out with conserving energy. So we'll show that again. He gets the chest wrap. Right away when this happens, big opening, open the leg, swim through, sit on your right butt cheek. Boom. So the third position that I want to go over is a reactive takedown from Usman. Now, you'll hear me often say a takedown that the athlete set up, or the takedown that he was able to create based on the reactions from his opponent. So I want to give you kind of a little bit of background before I get into that, so that when you're watching this channel, you understand the symbols of the words that I'm using. So there's typically 3 different styles of reactive takedowns that can happen. The first reactive is like the very first situation in this film where they strike and you catch like a leg kick. She goes to kick, I catch it. They go to strike with an overhand, you come in. You catch them overextending on a strike. That's the first reactive takedown you can get. The second one is when there's a recoil effect and they don't have time to defend by striking again. So typically, like let's say that Megan jabbed at me. And so the jab's here, I'll keep it there. And now as soon as that recoils, I catch it coming in. It's gonna really catch them off guard. They're not gonna have a whole ton of balance or time to strike back. And the third reactive takedown that can happen is this exact one, where you're catching them stepping in. And so this is the takedown that Usman created off of Masvidal's reactions. So when you're watching the fight, Usman does a snatch single, which traditionally in wrestling is when you're not doing like a whole, it doesn't look like a whole lot of setups, but you're not doing a deep penetration step, you're not coming way down here, you're just going here, and you're grabbing the single, just like that. And that's what it looked like when Usman did it. But after I started watching the film a little bit, I was like, he's not just grabbing a single, he's creating reactions off of Masvidal's movements. So what he did is, we were in, Usman was in a southpaw stance, while Masvidal was now in an orthodox stance. When that happens, it creates an opening on this side. So if I was traditionally just striking, you know, I would round kick a ton to an orthodox fighter in a southpaw position, because that's what's open right down the pipe. And that's what Usman took advantage of to set up his takedown. We were here, and Usman lowers, he does a great job lowering his level with his strikes to make them look the same. And that's exactly what happened with this reactive takedown, catching Masvidal coming in. So he lowered his level with a straight right down the pipe, because that's the open side. And once he hit him with that, Masvidal started coming in. And started coming in, he grabbed the single leg, boom, right here, and he went to run the pipe. Now, he didn't end up getting this takedown, but the entry was so fantastic I had to show it. Now, something I want to show about why Masvidal came in is anytime somebody strikes at you, let's say that I was to teep Megan. I go to teep her, boom. Naturally, she's going to want to come back in. So you can catch somebody on a strike by them stepping in and overreacting. And it was the same thing. He was here, he drove a strike right down the middle, boom. He came back, boom, and then ran the pipe. The fourth and final sequence was a takedown that happened based off of cage pressure. A lot of times you'll see great athletes that will do a lot of takedowns based on just using the cage. And this was a situation where Usman did that. Now, often, Usman does a really good job shooting his head to the lead side or the non-power side, right? Like normal traditional striking, people tell you not to move towards the power side, which could be somebody's rear right hand. Same thing when you're doing wrestling. You don't want to run into a rear uppercut, you don't want to run into a rear knee, and Usman does a phenomenal job with that. But with this takedown specifically, he did take his head towards the power side, but the reason that it was okay was because his opponent, Masvidal, was up against the cage. When you're up against the cage, it's really hard to explode up, and you don't have a whole lot of room to work with to rear uppercut or explode with a rear knee, because there's not enough space. So Masvidal was closer to the cage, Usman was here. Now, the way that Usman set this up is he's always combining his strikes with his level changes, so they look the exact same. You don't know what's happening. So they were both in an orthodox position, power side for them, which is on Usman's left side. He lowered his level, and he came up with a hook. You see that very, very often for setups for a takedown, specifically a double leg. So he lowered his level, came up with a hook, kind of caused Masvidal to move back. He came in on a shot, and then after this point, Masvidal lifted him back up. And he was actually on a body lock after he got lifted up. Now, Masvidal has an overhook, so this one's here. And this is something that Usman does all the time. You saw in the Tyron Woodley fight, where he'll use this this like side grab here with the underhook as if he was gonna step through and throw somebody. But he does it specifically just to get somebody in front of them so he can do a lift and return. So he was here, he stepped forward, Masvidal compensated by coming to the front. It was exactly where Usman wanted him. Because he does a lift and return, you might even see him take his left knee and put it in Masvidal's butt, come here, he lifts him right to the ground. There was a situation where Usman actually had Masvidal up against the cage on the ground. Now, anytime you get somebody on the ground here, they're going to want to get their hips up against the wall of the cage so they can start shimmying back up. And Usman never pulled Masvidal's hips away. He let Masvidal work his way up the cage instead of pulling his hips away. And I wondered myself, why did he let that happen? When you use wrestling, you can decide where you want to put your opponent. Now, we'll show you where he put him. So he let him work himself back up from the bottom after using this takedown. He stepped in front here. Masvidal steps in front, walks right into it, and then lifts and returns him back to the ground. Now, I've never actually heard him say why he does this, but I'm assuming because it takes less energy for him for some reason to lift and return his opponent so he can get to a side control. That's exactly what that does, is he does the lift and return and allows him to get on the side on top of his opponent, which is a more dominant position for him, more than likely, than being in the guard or being in the front. And never heard him say that again, but that's possibly why he lets his opponent get up so he can lift and return him to get on that side control. So that was my wrestling breakdown for MMA for the past UFC fight 251 with Usman versus Masvidal. I absolutely love everything wrestling for MMA because I don't feel like there's enough information out there for the wrestlers that want to use the skill they've been crafting for years and years to use for MMA. So yesterday, this beautiful woman actually said yes to my proposal of marrying me. So now she will forever be helping me with wrestling videos. Super excited about that. If you guys enjoyed this channel, you have any recommendations, any questions about other breakdowns, shoot me a message, leave a comment below. See you guys next time.